firstly, it's so important for moms and parents to have time to themselves away from baby for 100 reasons. But I think it's also so helpful for your baby to learn to be adaptable and to be around other people, because there's going to be times where you have to suddenly jet off to do something or leave them with a new babysitter or a new daycare or something. So having them get a little bit more accustomed to other people and letting them bond with the important people that are in their life, like grandma and grandpa, that's crucial. It's not going to be exactly how I did it, but they're going to be safe and loved and cared for.
When there are family members or other loved ones that are also involved in the care of your little one, it can sometimes be a little bit challenging to navigate that. We're not therapists, but we are experienced moms and baby professionals with a passion to share what we know. Hey everybody, my name is Ashley Cooley. I'm host of the Bringing Up Baby podcast and owner of Birth Baby Sleep. And today's episode is pretty fun because we have our newest member of the Birth Baby Sleep team, Lindsey Davidson, joining us. Lindsey is a marketer, a new parent educator, and a mom. She's the creator of Good Robot Brewing's Mat Leave Monday event, which has been super popular, and has been working with me at Birth Baby Sleep to help us connect with and support even more parents. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Lindsey while we're navigating this relationship with our family members. This can be an interesting conversation because some of our listeners, and I know you and I both have our own experience, Lindsey, of just other members of your family, a different generation perhaps. They were taught other things than we were, or we're being taught new things as more research comes out, and the way we're raising our babies seems to be pretty different than a lot of our other family members might have. So I'm really curious, Lindsey, as you've shared that there's other kids in your family, you've been an aunt for a while. Mm-hmm. What has it been like to introduce your little one to the family and navigating having, say, your parents or in-laws or somebody looking after your daughter? What has that been like for you? And did you feel like there was stark differences in terms of how you would care for your daughter?
Yeah, my brother has 4 kids. The youngest is 6. The oldest is 17. So, much different age, and it's been a long time since they were little. So when Georgia was born, I think I started, even while I was pregnant, was sharing kind of some expectations or some of my plans with my mom especially, but also my father and my in-laws. So I think they had a vague idea of what kind of parent I wanted to be and what kind of parent my husband wanted to be. So that's helpful in itself. But yeah, when the first time leaving Georgia with somebody that you trust is difficult, and you're nervous about how it's going to go, or if they're going to do something that maybe you wouldn't do or wouldn't agree with. So I was just super open and upfront about my expectations, I guess. And, both of my mom and both my in-law are really, really great. My mother-in-law, and we're just super accommodating and happy to do things my way for the most part. I think the sleep thing was the biggest hurdle.
That's very different than what it used to be.
It's very different. Yeah. It's very different. And with my brother has 4 kids. So by the time the 3rd and the 4th one rolled around, the nap routine and everything was you couldn't be as strict with it as I probably was, because he also had a kid to get to soccer and a kid to take to dance, and 2 of them were in school, so it was harder to be that strict. So they had to be very flexible, where I only had one and I was on mat leave, and I could be really stern with
you're staying on top of it, because you had the
time
and you could,
and that's worked best for us. So it was a lot of, well, why don't you just push it a little bit so that you can come to this birthday party, or, keep her up a little bit later because Aunt Sue was coming to visit.
Great idea in theory. Yeah. We'll all have a good time for a few minutes.
Right.
But this is where it gets tricky because it's when you go home after, or it's the next day that you're noticing that they stayed up later.
Exactly.
And nobody else is dealing with that but you.
Exactly.
Super fun. Sort of similar, but also a little bit different experience for me. We had the first grandkids of both of our families. The only grandkids still on my husband's side, so for my in-laws. And, there's a few others on my family, on my side now. But I found it a whole lot easier. I didn't know what kind of parent I was going to be.
Right.
I didn't have those conversations ahead of time. Looking back now and being the person I am now, I totally would.
Right.
And I have all that info now. But at the time, we just didn't know. So I didn't even know to think about it or talk about it. It was all a learn as you go experience. And I found it really a lot easier to talk to my own parents about it. And they were also very... we'll just do, what do you want to do about this? I'm like, I don't know. Tell me. And so are my in-laws. Very much very, very supportive. Mm-hmm. But it was pretty obvious early on that we just all do things differently, whether it's a different generation or not. We're just all different parents. So it can be hard to navigate those conversations and ways of doing things. But you already mentioned one. There's a couple of what we are calling deal breakers of you need to share this information before you leave your child with anyone. A babysitter's a little bit different because they're usually trained and on the up and up of all this stuff anyway, and you can really tell that person what to do, and they should do it if they want to get paid. But your family members maybe not getting paid, and you're leaving them home with your little one. The deal breakers are making sure that they're sleeping safely and that they're in their vehicles and in their car seat safely, because those two are hugely different than what they were when our parents were little, or probably even your brother's first couple of kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Back to Sleep campaign came out in the early 90s, and risks of things like sudden infant death syndrome went way down because of that, because that's the safest position for them to be in for sleeping. But my in-laws and parents and anybody who was born before the 90s really was... they were told something different. They were told to put them on their side so they wouldn't choke on their spit up, which we know is not even a possibility. So that was just a fear. Or, we were told to put you on your bellies. Oh, they sleep better like this, yes. XYZ. But this research is huge. And this campaign and safe sleep is very important. So you want to make sure that when you're leaving someone, or you're leaving your baby or kids with somebody, anybody, or particularly a loved one, that they're going to follow those safety guidelines. They used to also wrap us up in so many blankets.
Right.
So many blankets. So overheating is a risk, everybody. So those kinds of things we want to make sure that they're on the up and up for. Really easy to Google this stuff too, or just hey, here's a couple things you should know just before we go. Same with the car seats, making sure as a car seat technician, I'd say that's probably the most car seats I do installs for are with the grandparents. Because they're looking at these what is this?
And the rear facing thing. They always have a comment about the rear facing.
Rear facing, we tried to get you up on the dash. You wanted to look out the front window.
Right.
Have you seen a picture of yourself in a car seat as a baby?
I don't think I have.
Oh,
I don't think I've heard the stories. Though.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
heard stories.
I actually was fortunate enough to see a photo of I gotta get it and post it, because it's just this metal bar that comes out a foot from my body, and I'm sleeping in the photo. I'm the only person that's not gonna... So I digress. The safe sleep, the car seat stuff, really important to have it written down. Have if you're in Nova Scotia or even New Brunswick, I think they get these loving care books after you leave the hospital. Have that stuff out so they can look through it and see what are these new recommendations about? What other tips do you have, Lindsey, when it comes to if you're going to leave Georgia, or as when she was a baby and leaving her with her parents, what kinds of things were you really thinking of? I want to make sure they get this.
Yeah, totally. The deal breakers of safe sleep and safe traveling was very important. But, I would leave super detailed notes about her bedtime routine or her feeding schedule. I used a mixture of breast milk and formula. I exclusively breastfed until she was about 4 months, and then we were using both. But I had a very specific schedule of when formula was offered and how it was offered and how she was fed. And I left super detailed notes about it with the kind of consequence of what can happen if we don't follow this schedule and this method, because she would get reflux, or, she would spit up a lot, and then you worry about them not getting the calories because of spit up, which you probably don't have to worry about. But
sure.
As
a new parent,
you're worrying.
Yeah.
So those were really important things to me. So I gave them as much information as I could. Maybe too much, who knows? But
you know what, though? To that point, and you were saying this earlier, we were first talking about this, that like I was a crazy person. I was a crazy person writing all the detailed notes. But then you quickly changed it, and if you didn't, I was going to correct you. That doesn't make you a crazy person. No. That makes you a really kind, caring, loving mom who just wants the best for her kid, and we're all just figuring this out. The crazy detailed notes are often necessary, so you're not a crazy person.
And thank you. And they're helping both people too, because I know my mother and my mother-in-law, they're still I'm 33, but that's still my mom. She's still my parent. So when she's looking after my baby, I know that she doesn't want to have to call me or text me or to ask me questions. She doesn't want to bother me or worry me. So just give them the information right from the get-go. Then they don't have to worry about doing anything that you wouldn't do, and they don't have to worry about, quote unquote, bothering you. You'd never be a bother. But
100%.
So provide as much detail, provide some demos if you're bottle feeding or whatever about how you'd like to do it, and give them as much information as you can.
Yeah. I remember I very fortunate to have a friend at the time who was a paramedic, and I had him come over before anybody watched my kid in any sort of fashion around food.
Right.
He came over, I invited the in-laws over, everybody who was going to be watching her over, and did a quick little demo on choking. And
yes.
Because, I mean, anything, I just want to make sure, and I felt like the crazy person too, but you know what? It gave me so much peace of mind.
And it probably gave them so much peace of mind.
Totally, yeah, because maybe they didn't know it way back when, but hey, who needs a refresher? Right. So a lot of grandparents or family members want to do things how you do them. They want everything to go well. They want the baby to be happy, so they want to pretend they're mom and do the things, right? But we also know that sometimes, because we do it too, I do it, we do the nod and smile, oh yes, thank you for telling me, and then we're going to turn around and do whatever the hell we want once you're gone. Right. So we also sometimes have to expect a little element of that happening. But there's really a lot of value in your little one being with other people and actually doing things in a different way. Nobody, as detailed as your lists are, nobody is going to do it as good as you. No. Nobody's going to do it quite the way you do. Maybe they don't nap as well when somebody else is around. Maybe they don't XYZ. But there's a whole lot of value in being able to do that and letting your baby, your kids be around other people who love them also, and will, as long as they got those deal breakers in place, like we're keeping them safe. Yes. In the end, things might be different, just like at daycare. Like we can have all the expectations and plan all we want, but things will be different, and they adjust to that, and it's actually a beautiful thing. But you want to do what's going to make you feel comfortable enough so that when you leave the house and you close that door, you might feel sad for a half a second because like as much as we want to leave, we also don't want to leave. Right. But you want to feel like your mind is at ease, that you're not out worrying, because then that's not a night out worth going for, is it? Of course.
I mean, firstly, it's so important for moms and parents to have time to themselves away from baby for 100 different reasons. For themselves,
for their relationships, for, again, 100 reasons.
But I think it's also so helpful for your baby to learn to be adaptable and to be around other people, because there's going to be times where you have to suddenly jet off to do something or leave them with a new babysitter or a new daycare or something. So having them get, a little bit more accustomed to other people and letting them bond with the important people that are in their life, like grandma and grandpa, that's crucial for their development and for, their life as they grow up. So it's really beneficial to both. As long as, those deal breakers are covered, then it can be healthy for you to, acknowledge that it's not going to be exactly how I did it, but they're going to be safe and loved and cared for.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to talk about this another time because it is a whole other conversation, but in the same vein of maybe it's not about leaving your child with them and leaving the list to make sure they get the nap and all that stuff, but maybe it's receiving maybe unhelpful comments while you're around and parenting around them, and now we're like, ooh, I don't feel comfortable, I'm not a confident parent yet enough to know what I'm doing, so I'm getting these comments and I'm not sure, is there truth to that? There's a whole conversation around that stuff that I think we should dive into in another episode because we can spend some time on it. But wrapping this up, really, when a family member is going to be taking care of your little one, and particularly if that family member is of a different generation and was given different information than we are today, I guess to wrap this up is acknowledging that there's only so much in your control when you are not in the house. Right. So what can you do to prevent or allow for you to feel most comfortable while you're gone? Right. So make the detailed lists. Don't feel like a crazy person. Mention and be sure to know about the safe sleep and car seats, or know that the person taking care of your little one has that info. Give them the tools and the information that you've learned along the way. Because like we were saying, a lot of times the grandparents or well-meaning loved ones, they want to do it as best they can, like as close to it as you do. So the more similarities that are there, the better. But ultimately, a few little differences here and there, healthy and wonderful for the kids. Yeah, I mean, everybody has that little baby's best intentions at heart. So cut everybody a little bit of slack where it's safe to do so, and everybody will be happier for it, I think. Yes, because the important thing is you're getting out and having time for yourself, for your partner, or your friends, and that is a beautiful thing too. So this stuff is necessary to do. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Thank you.
If you're looking for more information or support along your parenting journey, check out birthbabysleep.ca. That's where you're going to find prenatal classes, postpartum and new baby resources, and sleep support during the childhood years. You can now join our Bringing Up Baby community membership as well, which has tons of additional benefits to helping you through all kinds of sleep challenges and transitions, navigating the transition to solid foods, and even your transition through early parenthood. If you have any questions, just send them my way. Lastly, but certainly not least, if you got something out of this episode or our show in general, leaving a rating or a quick review goes a really long way to helping others find us. So please consider leaving one. That's all for now. I'm Ashley Cooley, and we'll see you back here next time.